Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cole, and basically all I do is read, go to the gym, and go on bad dates. I'm sure your lives are more interesting, so I am going to read a bunch of books and then tell you which ones are worth your time and which ones you should absolutely miss. And to that end, today we're going to talk about my least favorite 2024 books. Listen, did I read every book that was published in 2024? Clearly not. I also think I have a relatively discerning taste and I'm pretty picky about what I read. And shockingly, some of these were like on the big lists, like shortlisted for some of the big lists. I think we're going to start with my least favorite. My least favorite read of 2024 was The Ministry of Time. I got about halfway through and then I started dog-earing substantiation for my POV. I read it in a book club and I was like, no, I knew that I needed to go in guns blazing, like with my points. And prime example, one of my least favorite passages. But first, I'd like to see you unload and reload, she added, passing me the handgun. It weighed as much as a gun did, neither heavier nor lighter than what I was expecting. Right, because it was a gun. You had acknowledged that that's what that's what they were handing you. They handed it to you, and you said, "Wow, it feels like what you handed me." That to me encapsulates basically the level of execution we were working with for this entire book. I'm sorry if you liked it. I know that it got a lot of press. I have some friends who work in the industry and they said that the marketing behind this was Insanity the Musical. I don't get it. I don't know if it had already been sold to some sort of streaming service that was going to turn it into a television show or a movie. Skip it. That said, if the movie comes out, I could see like the scaffolding of the plot was like interesting enough. Like it could make an interesting television show, but like as a book, the execution was absolutely not there. And some of the interviews with the author too just like gave me further substantiation for like feeling like this was not it. This was not it. Another book. And I think I've actually now officially given up on this author and it will make me unpopular on the internet. However, in person, you all have told me that you feel the same way. And so, to that end, I am going to stand loud and proud and talk about Wandering Stars and Tommy Orange and how unfortunately I will no longer be able to participate in the charade. I don't DNF books. That was the only book I DNF'd this year. And maybe in the last 2 years. 3? I like genuinely, I like read to the end because I want to be able to have like a holistic perspective and like deeply understand like the work as a whole. That one I literally couldn't. I think I was over on another app and I was asking folks like, when do you normally DNF a book? And I was like, can I do this? And then I found out in DMs and in person that other people felt the same way and they also did the same thing to that book. I also did not get pulled in with there. Unfortunately, I think that author I'm no longer going to be able to participate. Listen, if that's your ministry, go with God. I can't do it. This other title. This was on the shortlist for the Booker, which we'll make a video about that soon. This shortlist this year did not resonate with my soul, but Creation Lake. I think it was also longlisted for the National Book Award, maybe? Y'all, I don't think that book knew what it wanted to be. It was all over the place. We were talking about the origins of the human race, and then she was a spy. Then she was giving the Gluck Gluck 3000 out of nowhere. It didn't work. I am genuinely shocked. This is one of the instances, there are one or two, where like maybe it's me. Like, hi, am I the problem? It's me. But like, I can't even see it from a different perspective to understand why. Like, why? I don't get the choices. It doesn't work for me. The syntax was like whatever. I think it was also like unnecessarily overwrought. It kind of took itself too seriously. It's not my jam. This book, is going to have some conflicting opinions. And that's fine. That's why we're here, right? To have this discussion. I recently finished it because it was named as the New York Times, one of the New York Times top 5 fiction books of the year. The number of delicious fiction books we had this year, and this was the one they chose? Good material? Listen, I think I would have even judged it less harshly had it not been on that list, if I'm being very honest. It was fine. But the more distance I have from it, the more frustrating it is to me that it was on that list. It it basically focuses on a single cis straight white man who is insufferable. Punct. It's like it changes perspectives at one point, but I think we sit with him for like 250 pages and there's like no growth. There's no redeeming qualities. Nothing about him is really endearing. The more you get to know him, the more you're like, yeah, no, she broke up with you. Like, it just, what are we, what? And I think that she actually wrote the character really brilliantly. He was brilliantly insufferable. Like, the way she wrote him was so accurate and correct, but you can't build the book around that being the protagonist. Even if it was like the anti-protagonist, right? Because he's like the antagonist to the girl, but like, what? And she does an interesting thing where she shifts perspective towards the end and we get the girlfriend's perspective, like, because it's about a breakup, and we get the girlfriend's perspective, but I believe that the girlfriend feels almost devoid of character. And like, she was so brilliant at writing the male character, where was the woman? Which then made me question, is this what happened in her life? And is she the woman in this instance? Like, is the author the woman? And did that what happened to her? And instead of creating this robust character, which she's obviously capable of doing, she's instead like defending actions maybe against some breakup. I don't know, but like, it didn't work. And it's interesting because this they were projecting from very early on that he was basically going to write this one man show, this one man kind of comedy show for this Edinburgh festival, which like, duh, like Baby Reindeer coming out of that, and uh Fleabag, I think, came out of the same festival. So it's like, okay, cool. But like, that would have been fascinating. It sounded to me like there was a lot of growth in the show because we see it at the very end. But like, I wanted to see him write that. I wanted to see him go through the healing process. Like, that's interesting. What it it was a miss. It was a miss for me. Okay. This one. And I've heard that I just need to read a different one of hers because like, I'm really I she's so prolific as an author and I've really wanted to read her work. And so this year I decided I'm going to read the new book she just came out with. It's Joyce Carol Oates and it's her book Butcher. Y'all, 90% of this book is the book jacket. The book jacket paints a very interesting concept, a very interesting picture. That is fascinating. But like, I I fully got what I needed from 90% of this book just from the book jacket. I would argue that the way it was fleshed out didn't give me really more information necessarily. Like, I didn't feel more depth or more understanding. It was just the book jacket. And for that reason, it was just such a miss for me. And it could have been really cool because, like, again, the book jacket draws you in. It made me want to read it. I was excited. My opinion on this next one got me in trouble on another app, but I'm just so sorry. The collection of stories in rejection is just not good. The first three, I would argue, really kept my attention. I thought that they were really interesting. I thought that the way that they were handled was super unique, and I was there. But the back half of the book is so self-involved. It's so like Brooklyn Writers Group derogatory. It like the final story is like a commentary on this collection, and it feels very much like an essay, but it's not because it's a story, and it's so like intellectually masturbatory, and like, it did not work for me, and I don't understand why people liked it. And the I mean, I think liking it makes some people feel smart, and that's okay, but I think that there's other literature that can make us feel smart. that is also smart. And I don't think this is it. And I really love story collections. I love essay collections. I love like shorter form content like that. I think it's really great. And I think that like collections can be so powerful. This was not it. And I don't understand some of the praise for it. And again, I think it goes back to my hypothesis. And I'm sorry. This next one, I know. I know some of you loved it. And listen, it's like, it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst of the worst. But God of the Woods, and I'm sorry. It's because the first chunk of it was so good. And it really drew me in and made me excited and made me want to know what was going on. And then it lost its way. And then the ending was extremely anticlimactic. First of all, I think the build to the big surprise and the big reveal and the end didn't work and was really clunky. And then immediately once they made that reveal, then like literally the next chapter, like the next page, they restated the big reveal, which undercut the poorly revealed reveal, because the point of these books is to like build an edge all the way to that reveal, and then that's the big moment. And it did that poorly, like, or the actual reveal part poorly, and then immediately restated it, which undercut itself. Which then made me frustrated, because it's like, we've read how many pages? How long is this? Like 475 pages for you to just at the end? Really? I was disappointed. This next one, listen, I don't have tons to say about it, but it's Crooked Plow. It was, I think, shortlisted for the International Booker Award. It is Brazilian, I believe. Yes. I It just didn't work. It didn't come together the way it needed to. It was interesting in concept, but it lost its way, and like things were convoluted, and the way it was pieced together didn't really work. It just, so if you hear the buzz around it, like I think skip. And I love translated literature. I had a wonderful year of translated literature, actually. But unfortunately, this one just didn't work. And I wanted it to. I was really bought in at the beginning, and then it just fell apart, and it just didn't stick the landing, which the landing being halfway through to the end. I'm sorry. And this one, I know this is controversial because it won the big prize. It won the Booker, but I am so sorry. It did not work for me. It was a singular idea that they somehow stretched into an entire novel, a short novel, but a novel. I don't feel like I got anything more than its original like assertion at the very beginning of the book, which is basically like, we're insignificant and because space is so giant, but also we're super significant because what else do we have? It's that, but I don't think it expands on that. The prose, beautiful. Listen, gorgeous writing. I'm totally into that. But like a novel and then to win the Booker? I'm so sorry. It just didn't work. And I feel really bad because I wanted to love it. I really did. I was really excited for it. And I may go back and read it again, which is saying something, because it's not that long. But it didn't do it for me. Finally. No, listen, I'm going to be honest. I've not finished it yet, okay? But it won the Goodreads like fiction book of the year based on votes, which I understand. We're in a literacy crisis. I'm happy anyone is reading. I'm happy that reading is happening, right? And I'm happy that we can talk about it here, but like the writing is not good. And so I've had to take it in slow chunks because like I want to read it because I want to understand. I really want to understand, but can I finish it? Is it going to be my second DNF of the year? And it's The Wedding People. Phoebe, listen, there are some funny lines. I will say that. There's some snarkiness that really aligns with my sense of humor, and I'm having a good time. But the writing, the way like she'll say the characters' names like 4 times sequentially, like we know who's talking, baby girl. You've actually done a great job of letting us know who's talking. We don't need you to say her name 7 times. We get it. We know it's her. We know it's Phoebe. You know what I mean? And like the concept is like funny. This woman, arrives at this hotel and she decides she's going to unalive herself. And the only other people in that hotel are there for this other woman's wedding. And the woman whose wedding it is like, you're not going to unalive yourself tonight. This is my wedding week. Like, it's going to be all about you. And I'm at this point now where they're kind of like forming this like odd friendship and connection. And like, so there are like funny elements. Like, I guess I can understand why people are drawn to it, but the writing. Anyways, I understand some of this is just me. Some of this, though, trust me. Please trust me. I posted another video that has my 10 favorite reads of the year. Go watch that. Go read those. Go read those 10. Or read these. Actually, read these and tell me that I'm wrong, or you can agree with me. I would love that. I feel like nothing brings a book club together more than mutual hatred for a book. So, anyways, let me know what you're reading. Let me know what your to be read list is for 2025, and I will see you soon.